Over the past few days, I've been watching various channels playing through the preview build of Gotham Knights, because obviously they didn't send me a preview copy. So I can't really go by my own point of view of whether or not I think the preview of Gotham Knights is good, bad, mid. The only thing I can do is just base it upon what I saw from a few other content creators and streamers' playthroughs from the limited demo that WB Games Montreal sent out. Now, quick recap. Gotham Knights is coming October 21st to PS5, Xbox Series XS, PC, being made by WB Games Montreal. They were the same ones that did Batman Arkham Origins, as well as the Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight. Gotham Knights is 1 to 2 players, so you can play with 2 players from start to finish, or you can just play solo. The characters that you can choose between are Batgirl, aka Barbara Gordon, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, Robin, Tim Drake, Red Hood, Jason Todd. Despite the fact that WB Games Montreal made Batman Arkham Origins, as well as the Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight, no, this has nothing to do with the Arkhamverse. It's not connected in any way with Arkham Asylum, City, Knight, or Origins. It's its own thing. And it has nothing to do with the crappy Gotham Knights show on CW. In this universe, Batman is allegedly dead, along with Jim Gordon. Both of them might not end up being dead after all. Then again, that would be a bold move by Gotham Knights if by the end of the game they both still remained deceased. But especially when it comes to Batman being dead, I'm going to press X to doubt. Other characters include Alfred, as well as Harley Quinn, Penguin, Clayface, Mr. Freeze. The main antagonists of Gotham Knights will be the Court of Owls. This was built on Unreal Engine 4. Originally, they were also making the game for PS4, Xbox One, but that development was scrapped. The price tag for Gotham Knights is $70 US, and it was first teased over 2 years ago, August 2020. A few months ago, I did do a video about my thoughts concerning the game being potentially underwhelming, and I do have more concerns to share now that I've watched a few previews. Bear in mind, once again, I did not play the game myself, so I'm literally going into this third-person game from a third-person perspective, but I did try to watch a few channels out there play the game in order to see different fight styles from the different characters that you can play as: Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, as well as Red Hood. The fighting seems okay, a bit clunky and repetitive at times, and there was some fights where it felt like the aim was a little bit off. A prime example off the top of my head, Red Hood was fighting Harley, and there was times when he was pointing his guns away from Harley, even though it was at the time of the fight just 1v1 Red Hood versus Harley, and he would be shooting in a completely different direction. And I think I also noticed that even though he has the range attack and the other characters are more about hand-to-hand combat, I may have noticed that happen in some of the fights between Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing versus various NPCs, where the player was trying to attack one NPC but ended up attacking a completely different one. Graphically, the game looks okay for what it is. It doesn't look like it was built for PS5 or Xbox Series. It does look like a last-gen game, which makes me wonder how long the game has been in development, especially since it was teased 2 years ago. That means that the game had been at least begun work a year or two prior, somewhere in 2018, or perhaps even further back, 2017 or 2016. Which could imply that this game was originally meant for PS4 and Xbox One. It's not an ugly looking game, it just definitely doesn't feel like a PS5 Xbox Series exclusive title. It definitely reminds me a lot of Arkham Origins, which makes sense because it's the same team that made Arkham Origins that are behind Arkham Knight. But obviously some changes that they have made over the years, hopefully improvements. There are different skill trees for all 4 characters and different fighting styles you can eventually go with when it comes to Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing, Robin, depending on which style for each character you prefer. The voice acting for the main characters is okay, but there's also this in-game banter between the characters as well as bosses and the NPC grunts that comes across as cringe, often repetitive. Nowhere near as good as the Arkham games. Like the NPC dialogue that they wrote for Arkham Asylum, City, Night is very, very good compared to what we get from NPCs in Gotham Knights. And I also noticed in several fights that the lines between the characters and the antagonists that they're fighting, like Harley, are often repeated during combat over and over again. In other words, these characters could have used way more lines while fighting in combat. Both the protagonists, because I noticed this issue with Red Hood, along with Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, as well as various regular NPCs you fight, and of course with Harley. Each character will have a different way to traverse around the city. Like Batgirl's is the most similar to Batman's, where she uses her cape to glide around, and Nightwing has a glider, Robin has the ability to teleport, and Red Hood has this Lazarus skipping ability across the sky, which is kind of interesting. But they all can also traverse around Gotham via their motorcycles, which has a cloaking device. So if you have it parked somewhere and somebody just happens to be walking by and they trip over it and they hurt themselves, does that mean that the Gotham Knights are liable for those injuries? I think the reason why the cloaking device exists is so that when you call in your motorcycle, it can literally spawn right beside you. But there was also a silly scene whenever you go inside the Belfry the first time, and I think it was Robin in one of the previews. And when you park inside the Belfry, the motorcycle disappears. But you're inside the Belfry, you're safe, you're in your secure safe house location. Why does it need to cloak when you have it parked at your base? It doesn't make much sense. But going back to the motorcycle, they put this anime effect on the game. If I can find the anime effect, I'll throw it up on the screen to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. When you're driving around Gotham, to give you the illusion that the motorcycle is supposed to be going really, really fast, but it doesn't feel like it's going fast at all. It just feels like this illusion of speeding across Gotham. In fact, by comparison, the Batmobile in Arkham Knight, yeah, I know that could be annoying at times, especially tank mode when you had to fight all the damn drones and the various boss battles with the Batmobile. At least when you were driving around Gotham at high speeds in the Batmobile, it actually felt like it was going fast across the map of Gotham City in Arkham Knight. I cannot say the same thing about the motorcycles in Gotham Knights. It feels more like you're riding around in the Faggio scooter in GTA Online. And I'm not even exaggerating. It doesn't feel fast at all. Now, these are just some of the things that I noticed by watching the previews, and I'm still hoping that the final product turns out to be decent. I'm not expecting Gotham Knights to end up being Game of the Year material, but hopefully it'll be better than Cringe Row 2022. Since I'm a huge Batman fan along with the Bat fam, I really wanted to pre-order this and play it day one, but from what I've seen so far, I'm still very much on the Bat fence, and I'm not going to pre-order it. I'm simply going to wait for a few reputable YouTubers out there, like my good friend Carrick over at ACG, or Skill Up, or some of the others out there that are really good at video game reviews, to get their hands on copies of Gotham Knights, play it for themselves, and trust in their reviews before I decide whether or not to pick this game up day one. The only really benefit of pre-ordering Gotham Knights is you get a unique motorcycle skin, and I just don't feel like it's worth pre-ordering Gotham Knights just to get the 233 custom skin for your motorcycle, especially since I don't really have much desire to use the damn thing because it just feels so slow. And it's just a cosmetic. But I will say this, all the different characters have a variety of cosmetics you can ultimately unlock for all 4 Gotham Knights. And it is in-game, so no microtransactions as far as I know, but there's a lot of artwork out there showing the various costume designs. And I think there's other additions that you can purchase. I think I went over that in my previous video, which I'll link below in the description section, that allows you to get unique cosmetics locked to specific editions. But there is a lot of in-game clothing outfits for all 4 characters as well that you can ultimately acquire. But I'm definitely going to be holding my breath for the reviews, and that will determine whether or not I go ahead and purchase it when it finally comes out, or I simply just wait for a sale or not even bother. I don't think this is going to be a bad game, but I don't think it's going to be a great game either. I think it's going to be mid. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But there's always a chance it turns out way better than I'm expecting, and I hope that's the case. But it definitely needs to be fun, and it has to have replayability. And I think it's going to have replayability because you're going to be able to play as all 4 of these characters from start to finish, I believe. I don't think the game is going to force you to be Nightwing during these scenes or Red Hood during these missions, or Batgirl during this mission. I could be wrong about that. I think you can select a character and just main Nightwing or Robin or Batgirl or Red Hood start to finish if you want, or pick between 2 characters or 3, or try out all 4. And the co-oping is definitely going to add fun factor to this game between you and a friend. So that's probably the way that a lot of people are going to play it, is co-op, 2-player, going in, start to finish. I think that would make it a lot more interesting than playing the game solo. But replayability is already there because you could play the game start to finish as Batgirl, then as Red Hood, then as Robin, then as Nightwing, and I'm sure you'll get to experience different combat styles, different gadgets, different weapons from start to finish, and perhaps even different dialogue between your character and the antagonist that you end up going up against. Once again, Harley, Penguin, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, as well as the Court of Owls. But in my opinion, I really don't know if this game is worth $70 US, maybe $60 US, because it does feel like a last-gen console game, and I think it was originally intended for PS4 and Xbox One, but because of delays, they've had to bump it up to the PS5, Xbox Series, as well as PC for an October 21st launch. But it may turn out to be way better than my expectations. At least I hope that's the case, because I had the bar very low for Saints Row and it managed to go underneath that bar. But I choose to judge Gotham Knights based on its own merits, as well as the hard work being done by everybody at WB Games Montreal. They obviously have a track record when it comes to Batman Arkham Origins. They had some great boss fights in Arkham Origins, and I thought the Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight was pretty solid. I don't expect this game to reach the levels of awesomeness as Arkham Asylum, City, or Knight, but here's hoping this game does Batman proud. And no, I don't think he's dead. I think that's going to be a plot twist near the end of the game that you didn't see coming, but you actually did. If it turns out that both Bruce and Jim Gordon are dead, then that, in my opinion, is the real plot twist when it comes to Gotham Knights. Did you get a chance to either play or watch the previews of Gotham Knights from other streamers and content creators? If so, what are your impressions? And are you planning on pre-ordering the game, picking it up day one, waiting for reviews, or not touching this game until maybe it goes on sale? Your thoughts, your views, and opinions, as always, welcome below in the comments section.